Beep. Okay, so we had our guesses. Gummy bears are coming around. The point of the whole exercise was to make you guys realize that you have to have an answer that makes sense. Because I didn't let you measure anything. I just wanted to see if what we were talking about on the first day, reference, could help you out, right? I'm glad that nobody said, the gym is 500 feet long. Because that would have been, yuck. That's like that girl that thinks I can walk home in one step. Okay, none of you are going to be that kid, right? Right? There we go. Okay. Son of a motherless goat. All right, let's hear some thinking. We need thinking. How would you measure the circumference of my coffee cup? What are your options? Wait, Josh and Deep, I have to give somebody else a chance. You can't get the whole bucket of gummy bears. Would anybody else like to step in and tell me how you would measure the circumference of my coffee cup? Hit me, Eden. Excellent. So 1. You could get the measure diameter. I think I should do a commercial. I think Surface should say, we should find a guy who's using our technology every day in his regular job to make his life easier. I would volunteer, and then I would sabotage it. And I would say, no, they're pieces of crap. Don't buy them. You would measure the diameter and times by pi. Excellent. Who else has another way they could do it? Rihanna. You could do the radius times 2 times pi. Excellent. Who has another way? Because all of this is kind of difficult to do. Because a diameter and a radius has to do what? How do you know you have a diameter? How do you know you have a radius? Where do you have to measure? This isn't a place. Okay, where on the top? So if I put that there, is that the diameter? Right down the middle. How do you know you're right down the middle?
You measure from either side.
I did just measure from either side. Am I right down the middle?
Or no, you check how far away it is from the opposite side.
You get a string, right? And then you measure it with the ruler after.
What do?
You get a string.
Yep.
Put it around.
Yep.
Then you measure it.
Somebody stop him. He just got another. I'm not even. Josh times infinity. You would get a string and roll it, wrap it around, and then lay it out flat and measure it. Excellent. One more way. Emma Lynn. Tape measure. Anything flexible. Yeah, okay. Who's got another way? You only have one tool to do the job. You only have a ruler. What else could you do? You've got no string. What could you do? 10 gummy bear prize to anybody that can tell me how to measure the circumference here with only a wooden ruler. No string or nothing. 10 gummy bears on the line. Josh and Deep is very close with his string, but I've taken away his string. So what could he do? Lexi? We talked about that. That's using the diameter, yeah? Yeah, but what if you what if you don't have the right diameter? Because the question does say, oh, it doesn't. It should say accurately. Alyssa. From the outside to where? Oh, I see. You would measure it like that. Okay. So that could get you a diameter. Excellent. Only worth 5 gummy bears, though, because it's still the diameter. This has nothing to do with diameter to get the 10 gummy bears. Jasreet.
Can't you roll the circular part on the ruler?
Yeah, Jasreet gets 10 gummy bears. You take the coffee cup, you put it on the ruler, and you roll. And where it ends is the circumference. Kind of how a trundle wheel works. I was expecting you to get that because you were like, you know that yellow thing that you roll and clicks? Remember we had that whole discussion? Yeah, nice. Okay. You could roll it. Nicely done. All right. How could you accurately measure the glass door of my toaster oven? It's curvy. So what could you do? Well, it's not a toaster oven anymore. It's microwave. But it's still curvy. How would you actually measure it if it's curvy? Rihanna. Mm-hmm. You could use a string, Rihanna. I mean, Jazreet.
You can use those flexi rulers.
Yeah, you could use anything flexible. Nice. Okay. Anything else?
You could read on the box what it says.
Look at you. Anything else you could read on the box? The question does say, how could you measure it? But, Lexi?
So you could like avoid the curves. You could open it and measure from the inside.
Oh, look at you guys. All right, now, the next question, the important question here, because all those are good answers. There's no right or wrong answer. I'm not going to write anything there. The point of this question is, what do I mean when I say measure? When I say, how would you measure this amount of space where the glass is? What do I mean? What? That's one thing I could be asking, isn't it? What would you use? Would you use feet for that? You'd probably use inches. Okay. What's another thing I might mean? Carlin, you just said it. I could mean area, right? That's a measurement. Okay. What were you going to say, Lexi?
I was going to say
Surface area, yeah. Okay. So I might mean surface area. Now, Wyatt said he would use inches. What would you be measuring, Wyatt? The length and the height, which would give you... No, the length and height would give you the area, wouldn't it? So the question, when I say measure, it's not really as simple as everybody thinks it is it? Because you don't know what I'm asking. That glass is also thick, isn't it? Could I be asking for the volume? Is that a measurement? Yeah. Does that glass fill up the whole door inside? I don't know. But that could be another measurement, right? So when we say measure, we don't necessarily mean the first thing that comes into your head. Because the first thing that came into Wyatt's head was the length and width in inches, right? First thing that came into Carlin's head and Lexi's head was area. Would you have done it in inches or centimeters? You probably would have used inches because we measure things in inches, don't we? How tall are you? Automatically, 5'8". When you go to get your driver's license, they're going to ask you for your height. You say 5'8". They're going to say, I need it in centimeters. But they're not because they have a little chart right beside them because nobody does their height in centimeters. Except in Quebec. If you go meet some girl or a guy from Quebec and you ask them their height and you say, I'm 5'8", they will say, I do not know what that means. I am 178 centimeter. Because they don't say the S because it's French translating to English. Yes, it is. And the French people talk like this. Yes, they do. They do not use any contractions, and they hit every T, and they don't use the letter S because en français there is no letter S.
They just sound super confused all the time with their words.
See, I don't find that. I find them to sound very intelligent because they don't use contractions.
I always find, I have a French friend, and he's
Yes.
always he talks like he doesn't know what he's saying, but it's still coming out of his mouth.
Yeah, that happens too. When my Spanish exchange student gets beyond his English, and he has, and if you didn't know it, you would think, yeah, I know what you're saying. All right, so the point here was a measurement means a lot of things depending on what we're looking for, yes? All right, and now this is the question that I really like. And this one I'm going to write a few things down because I want to hear some ideas. How could you measure the distance from the school office to this room? So what are your options? So Jashandeep says he's giving me how would you measure it? What unit would you use? He says he would use yards. Okay? What was your answer?
In time.
You would measure in time. Excellent. Again, same thing. How are we measuring? Right? What would you say? Meters. Meters. Anybody else? Okay, so did everybody think that question meant units? Like what units would you use? Lexi says time, minutes or seconds? Minutes. Jashandeep says yards, a unit of distance. Excellent. Wyatt said meters, a unit of distance. Okay, great. We've covered the units. I agree with all of those units. They're reasonable units to suggest, right? How would you do it? Carlin? You'd use a trundle wheel. What happens on the stairs?
I don't know.
String?
Tape, man. You guys can tape measure.
So you'd trundle wheel to the stairs, and then you'd measure the stairs. What would you measure on the stairs?
How far up the stairs?
So you'd measure the up and the down? So you'd go on every step, down, over, down, over?
You measure straight over.
You'd go straight down the hypotenuse of the stairs?
Yeah.
Okay. Which stairs would you go to? Would you go to those ones? Down there and then along the first floor? You'd go to those ones. Go around the rotunda and then down. So there's more than one way to get there, yes? Okay. Anybody got something else? What would you do, Aaron? Yep. 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 So you would measure where we are straight down to the ground and from there straight to the office and get the hypotenuse. Because that's technically the distance to the office, isn't it? Could we get there on the hypotenuse? No, we couldn't, unless we went out to the rotunda and zip line down, which would be wicked awesome. I told everybody when they first built the rotunda, if they wanted to, they could hire an engineer, and I would bungee jump from the top right down in the middle of the rotunda for the first assembly we did. Nobody wanted to let me do it. I know, wouldn't it have been wicked?
Did they not trust you?
I don't know. I'm actually kind of glad because people, I run hot and cold with people. Nobody says, oh, Myers, he's okay. Everybody's like, I love Myers or I hate Myers. And I wouldn't want one of the, I hate Myers, people to be in charge of the bungee jump. Because then it ends with a splat.
What, your hot numbers can't see?
Sadly, sometimes they don't. One year we did bungee jumping of dolls off the rotunda. We made bungee cords and we threw dolls off the rotunda. I videoed it. It was funny. All the dolls on the rotunda all dive and they well, they're dolls, but it looked like they were all jumping off the rotunda. No, because it's on my iPad. It's not on anything else. But it was a project.
You should bring it on Monday.
No. It's just a bunch of dolls falling off the rotunda. You can picture it in the theater of your mind. Use your imagination. That's my kids' show thing. All right, cool. Yay. Everybody did well on that. Now, the point of that question is how many right answers are there for distance to the office? Infinite. Could I get the right answer by going all the way down the stairs and walking around the outside of the library and then in the front door?
Yeah.
Is that still the distance to the office? Right. Why?
You don't even need to use the stairs. You can just use the elevator.
Excellent. You could use the elevator. Which would you count the up and down as part of the distance? You're not moving that distance. You're in the same spot, but you're going down. You're not walking anywhere. Would you count it?
Yeah.
Would you? Because distance to the office could be how many steps you're taking to the office, couldn't it? Do you take any steps in the elevator? I don't know about you guys, but I just stand in the elevator. Maybe you walk around, you do laps in the elevator or something. I don't know. Maybe you're like, oh, elevators freak me out. I can't be in here, so I got to be moving. I don't know. Do any of you have the freaky out thing in the elevator? The little bit of claustrophobia, elevators? Yeah? You actually got stuck in one? My brother-in-law had to spend New Year's Eve in one. He was locked in an elevator for 8 hours at UBC.
I never set foot in an elevator.
With 4 strangers. They had New Year's together. 4 strangers locked in an elevator. He still counts that as one of his best New Year's. Because they were all on the way to a party, so they all had... Never mind. They had stuff. Party stuff. Pop, chips, stuff you have at parties. Pin the tail, a dip, a piñata, stuff for parties at university. I am telling the truth. He had stuff for parties at university. Pop, chips, pinatas. It's not a party unless there's a pinata. All right, good, yay. All right, what are some things we can use to measure stuff? And this time, notice it's a slightly different question. I'm actually giving you what we're measuring, lengths. What is some stuff we can use to measure lengths? Meter stick, excellent. Not the most useful one, hard to carry around in your pocket. Hey! Hey, I need to measure something. Oh, here you go. Unless you had it in your back like He-Man. You guys know who He-Man is, right? Power of Grayskull. I have the power. Shoots Cringer. Makes him Battle Cat. My buddy named his cat Battle Cat. It was fun name in the house, but when you're outside and you want the cat to come in and you have to go onto the deck and go, Battle Cat, you look like a real loser. I named my cat Steve. Steve is now dead. He lived to be almost 20. I know, it was very sad for me. I had him when I was 20 years old to when I was 40 years old. I had him from a kitten. I raised him from a baby little kitten. And his mother was murdered when he was still a baby. I know, right? Sad. And he hadn't finished weaning. He was still drinking milk. But fortunately, my mother had a cat that had just had kittens. So she adopted Steve. And my other cat was Betty. Her mother was not murdered. But Betty had babies. And Betty outlived all her babies. Betty lived 19 years. Her oldest baby lived 12. Betty was awesome. She had extra toes. She could pick things up. She was polydactyl. One of her kittens was in the vet and pulled out its catheter. The thing that goes in your penis so you can pee when you're sick. So the cat was at the vet and it had a catheter. And the vet goes in the next day and the catheter is out. And the vet's like, who took the catheter out of the vet? Oh, not out of the vet. The vet wasn't walking around with a catheter. Who took the catheter out of the cat? And the vet's like, and all the people that worked there, I don't know. So they put a webcam on it to see how the catheter got out. Because it happened 2 nights in a row. On the third night, they put out a webcam. The cat was using its extra thumb to pull out the catheter from its own penis. Pulled it out by itself. Everyone's like, oh my God, that's a crazy cat. Fortunately, that was one of the kittens, and all the kittens were stupid. Because if Betty was a mean cat, and she was that polydactyl and useful, she would have taken over the world. Anyways, what else can we measure stuff with? We had meter stick. What else? I'm holding it. That's an easy one. Huh? The yellow wheel thing. Trundle wheel. What else?
Don't have a tape measure, but there's tape. They don't use
Yep. You can call it a tape measure. I know what you mean. Okay, Emmeline, what you got? Yardsticks? Cool. Everyone's good. We're all aware that there are tools to use to measure. Now, those are all regular ones, but there's all kinds of other ones. Who knows what a caliper is? It's a tool that has like claws, and you put it around the outside of something. You squeeze the claw on it, and you can measure stuff that way. If you are in any kind of metalwork or auto with Mr. Wimmer, you will use calipers this year or the next time you're in it. Are any of you in auto or metalwork? You'll get to use calipers. Sweet. I don't need to write anything down even because you guys are kicking ass. Now we got to start writing stuff down. This is where it gets annoying. Turn the page over, 14. You had no work to do on 14. We are going to talk about it right now. This is how you read a tape measure. And tape measures are annoying because, of course, tape measures are used mostly in construction. And even though we live in Canada and we do everything metric, officially, construction is still not metric. So you got to know how these things work. Well, you don't gotta, but it's part of what we're supposed to do for the curriculum. We got to teach you how to read a tape measure. Now, the problem with reading a tape measure is tape measures are divided into what? Says right there, fractions. Because tape measures are in imperial. And imperial doesn't work in decimals, does it? Not like the smart SI system. So you got to be aware of how fractions work. So it's real easy. This is obviously much bigger than an inch. It's been magnified to show you guys how to work this. The long lines are the whole numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah? Wyatt, are you waiting to talk or?
I know what the bigger, like the smaller ones are, like
Yeah.
25, 50.
No.
Like, I mean,
Oh, I see what you're saying. I understand. The longest lines are the whole numbers. The next longest line is what? A half. What's the next longest line? Half of a half, which is a quarter. What's the next longest line? Come on. Draw. Half of a quarter, which is an eighth. Quarter, an eighth. And what's the littlest one? A 16th. Now, most tape measures go to 16ths, but you got to look carefully because some tape measures will go down to 30 seconds. Okay? So everybody should be able to tell me these 5 distances. Right? Go. Write them down. Try. Write in pencil in case you do it wrong. Remember how yesterday it was summer? Then today it's fall? This is good, B, though. If it rains and keeps raining, then they'll lift the fire ban and my kid can shoot his movie or his TV show. I told you guys, right?
No.
Oh. Do you watch the show The 100?
Yeah.
My kid's on it.
Since when?
In this upcoming season that's starting in January, season 5, my kid's got a big part in it.
What's his name?
My kid's name?
No, in the show.
I'm not supposed to tell you.
Oh, so it's like a new character.
Yeah, it's a new character on the new show, on the new season. St. John Myers, The 100. It's on Netflix. It's pretty good. I'm pretty impressed. He's done one season. But if you've ever watched a show, they're always outside with torches. And for the last 3 months, there's been no fire allowed outside, so they haven't been able to shoot. So they're really behind. But now that it's raining, maybe he'll get some work. But he's in 4 out of the first 6 episodes. If that pace continues, he'll be in 9 out of the episodes out of the season. And he's got a love interest. He's going to have to kiss her, I think. I haven't told him. I don't think he's kissed a girl. He hasn't told me yet. He just turned 13. No. What? My son's in his 20s? I'm only 42.
You're 42?
I could have been, yes. But I wasn't. In this day and age, it's not as normal as it would have been in the past to have your parents in their 40s when you were in your 20s. In the past, people had their kids around 20, but people are having kids later and later and later, right? We didn't have our kids till I was 29. Okay, who's got an answer for me? How long's this one? It's a real easy one. 1/4 of an inch. How long's this one? 11/16. Nice. How long's this one? 1 3/8. Excellent. How long's this one? 2 13/16. And how long's this one? 3 7/16. Brilliant. Can everybody read a tape measure? Everybody? You're going to get more practice in 2 seconds. This one has metric. Why is metric easier? Because what do we get to use? Decimals. So each of these millimeter is what decimal of a centimeter? Half? 0.1, 1/10, right? So this guy is 1, 2, 3, 4. So he's 11, what? 0.4. And decimals work. Do decimals work in imperial? No, why? Because they use fractions, because they divide everything up differently, because it's idiotic. What's this one? This is a tricky one.
13.
Everybody caught me. What about this one?
16.7.
16.7. Everybody's awesome. Now, this honestly is a trick. What are the imperial ones at the bottom? Be careful. I'll give you a moment while you think about it. So it's not divided into 16ths, this ruler, is it? What's it divided into? 8ths. That was the trick. So this is 4 and what? 5/8. Because that would have been the half, right? Which is 4/8. What's this one? 5.5. What's this one? 6 and 7/8. And what's this one? 7 1/4. Everybody cool with measuring? All right. You are in this room until I don't even know when. 11:10? Shut up your face. Really? Okay. I don't want to go too much further because I don't want to get off track with the other class. So I'm going to assign you guys some homework to make sure you remember how to deal with fractions. Page 15 and 16, these two fun puzzle sheets. And that's your only work for the whole weekend. You could get it done right now and have no homework at all. Yes, go to the bathroom. Now, guys, you probably won't be able to fit the work for these two puzzle sheets on this page. You might have to use your own piece of paper, right? Follow the instructions. Remember, the jokes are super funny. If you get an answer that isn't in English, you did it wrong. Okay? Because you happen to be right where I look, Wyatt. It's just, I'm leaning off to this side, so if I look over here, it feels weird. It's just where my head naturally rests, at you, that general area. No. If I rested over here, if I was left-handed, I would look at Eden and Rihanna and Daniel and Jasreet. But I'm not left-handed because I'm not a mutant. Anybody in here actually left-handed? I know Aaron is. You're really left-handed? Yeah? I can only write with my left hand on the board. You're left-handed? Yeah, I know you are. You guys are disappearing from the population. In like 10,000 years, there will be no left-handed people born. Same with blondes. Sorry, Kristen. Same with redheads. Sorry, Daniel. You are so. That's red hair. I think it is. What would you call it? Really? Huh, okay. Yeah, of course. Actually, can you do me a favor and wait till Jordan gets back? We're only supposed to let one person out at a time. How many people need a refresher in how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide fractions? All right. If you don't really remember how to do this, join me at the back of the room. If you want to try it a little bit first, try it a little bit first.
I'll try. I know how to do it.
Don't ask me.
Or just turn around and listen.
I didn't like do the work entirely. I kind of just
There's lots of ways to do this. When I'm doing old So I've got 1. I also have 2/3 plus, now here's where you guys screw up. If this one is negative, is that half negative? Yes! So this is 2/3 plus negative 1/2, which is the same as 2/3 minus 1/2. Yes? And then we just do regular fractions. What's the common denominator? 6. That was times 2, so that's times 4. That was times 3, so that's times 3. Minus 3 is 1 and 6. Yes? So I have positive 1, 6, and I have 1. Right? So my answer is 1 and 1, 6. Everybody cool? Now, some of you won't like this. Eden is looking like, what the hell are you talking about? Because Eden, you probably want to do this. 2 and 2/3 plus negative 1 and 1/2. You probably want to do improper fractions, which is fine. But there's a problem with that too, because kids often screw it up. How do you make this an improper fraction? We're all taught the circle thing, right? Times plus. 3 times 2 is 6. 6 plus 2 is 8. 8/3. Yes? The problem with what you want to do, Eden, is you guys, when you see 2 times 1, you do times plus. You do 2 times negative 1. But a lot of kids do. And it's just something that I want people to be mindful of. Because again, kids get trapped into the shortcut that they were taught in elementary school. And they just do it. This answer, most kids tell me this is 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. Plus 1 is negative 1, right? So they tell me this is negative 1/2. But it's not. It's negative 1.5, isn't it? So you got to remember, if you're going to do improper fraction, the negative comes in at the end. 2 times 1 plus 1 is 3 over 2. And then you put the negative in. Now, if you're going to do that, it's the same thing. You still need negative 6, right? Or still need 6. 16, negative 9, 7, 6. Which is 1 and 1, 6. Exact same answer. Okay? Whatever you're comfortable with, that's the point I'm trying to make. That's the point I'm trying to make with this sheet, guys. I know that in your previous math classes, you were often shown one way to do things. And if you did it a different way, it bothered people. I am not like that. I do not care the method you use. I care that you get the answer. That's minus. Yeah. Okay.
And then what, 18?
See, that's the only reason I don't do it. No, that's the only reason I don't do it.
Carla, we do 16 and 15, right?
I don't like using improper because it's just one extra button push or thing. And sometimes you start that out. Right? I like to keep the numbers as small as possible so I can do it. That's just me. That's why I do the green. Robert Green.
Okay, I think and what was it? It was 3 over 2, right?
Oh, and guys, can I offer you one more piece of advice that will be very helpful with this entire unit? Before you even start a question, get an estimate so you know if your answer makes no sense. Here's what I mean. This first one is 2 and 2/3, yes? Which is almost 3, isn't it? Right? 2 and 2/3 is about 3, right? And 1.5, it's easy to work with. It's 1.5, yes? So no, I stole one from Betty, thanks. If I was going to estimate this, this is 3 minus 1.5, right? So my answer has to be around 1.5. Then I do all the work and I find it's 1 1/6. That's pretty close, yeah? So you have an idea of where you're going before you even try to do it. The reason I say this is because if you do a whole page of work and get an answer, and you didn't do an estimate, what if that answer is completely wrong? Like that poor girl that did a whole page of work and said it would take me 15 steps to walk 450 kilometers. If she had stopped for a second and did an estimate prab, hey, wait a minute, 450 kilometers, that's 1,000 steps per kilometer. I must need at least 450,000 steps. And then do all the work and she gets 15. Oh crap, I must have done it wrong, right? Get an estimate first. So, last time I'm going to talk to you, gentlemen, last time I'm going to talk to you, with this second one, that's almost 6, isn't it? Right? That's almost 3, isn't it? -6 plus 3 is what? -3. So this answer must be close to -3, correct? So when you do all the fractions, you know your answer has to be around -3. So if you get something totally away from that, then you know you've done something wrong. Okay? Everybody cool? Okay, I'm going to shut up and walk around. And if you're not talking about math, I'm going to give you a look like this. I'll put you on the list. Gummy bears for everybody. I'm going to make it rain gummy bears on Monday. What? Yes, I owe gummy bears. I actually went to Walmart in Richmond yesterday to buy gummy bears, but they only had gummy worms. And you don't get enough in the bucket because the worms are bigger. What? Yes. Well, sadly, you will have to wait till my good friend Mitchell gets back.
Oh, yeah. You could get gummy bears from Walmart at High Street.
But I wasn't by Walmart High Street yesterday. I was by the Walmart in Richmond.
I live by this.
Oh, yeah? I live by the Walmart in Chilliwack. That's where I buy my gummy bears.
That's too far.
For you, but for me, it's right by my house.
It's by my house too.
I need to go to High Street because I just found out Mucho Burrito opened in High Street. I love me some Mucho Burrito, as you can tell.
You know Carl?
I know lots of Carls.
Carl Vaughn.
Carl
He was
Vaughn.
at Hirschman's.
No, I don't know him. Mucho Burrito is good eating.
No McDonald's.
I can't eat almost anything at McDonald's because it's all got gluten.
That's the only place I eat. I spent a lot of money. It is. You're going there, you're good for it. What was he for his studies? You're coming? No. You're coming now. You're landing. You're not good. You're landing. He wanted me to do the stuff. So where did you do the company house or not down?